Coverkiller Nation here, and as a progressive rock fan, I am here to rectify a boo-boo that I made a couple of months ago. Of course, I reviewed the debut album by Adrenaline Mob, which is a band that was started by Mike Portnoy that included Russell Allen from Symphony X, and I, of course, did the review and was very underwhelmed by this album. And if you did not see the review, then you definitely should check it out and understand my reasons why. Mike Portnoy is also part of another project, another super group, and that is the group Flying Colors. And I'm here to tackle their debut album, which is entitled Flying Colors, here today. And I'm going to do that even though it's a couple of months tardy, mainly because it's something that needs to be done. Not to mention, it's another Portnoy project, which means we need to know whether or not this one is just as underwhelming as the first. Now, this is a project that he has done with Neil Morse, Steve Morse, Casey McPherson, and one other gentleman whose name I cannot recall. So basically you have a laundry list of prog rock legends in the two twin Morses, and then Casey McPherson, who is a relative newcomer but was the vocalist and still is the vocalist of the alternative rock band Alpha Rev. Now with this album, this debut album, this is something that I'm going to tell you that I noticed right away. That's the fact that this band is not unlike a lot of progressive rock bands where they have to play definitely to their strengths. There's a multitude of different length tracks on this album, from the kind of radio-friendly shorts that are right around 3 minutes or so, to the semi-lengthy ones to the 6 and 7 minute regard, and then of course the final track is the 12-minute long epic. And a lot of progressive rock bands are able to do a lot of these things very well. In fact, truly great progressive rock bands, in fact the ones that truly succeed, tend to do all of these things very well, but perhaps are explicitly and very well versed in one of them. Now this is a band that falls under that same category. This is a band that definitely does some things very, very well regarding all three of these different lengths that I just mentioned, the short, so to speak, and the medium and the epic range. However, there are definitely strengths that lean a lot more toward the medium and the epic range. While the short songs are good, I do enjoy them, it just seems like they definitely could have some room to develop. There are tracks on this album that seem like they are going somewhere, and they're going somewhere very quickly, and they just kind of pass by the blink of an eye, and at times can kind of render themselves slightly forgettable. The vocal performances are extremely, extremely strong. It's one of the strengths on this record. Casey McPherson, I have to give him a lot of credit. Also, the composition on these are just really, really good as well. In fact, there was a track, in fact it's track number 2, where Portnoy gets kind of a little bit crazy with the drums at the end of it, and it's actually kind of a nice moment, even though, you know, most Dream Theater fans are thinking, Mike Portnoy, ugh. It's actually kind of a nice little part of the song, and the whole band kind of gets to jam a little bit, and it just really shows that this is a very tight group. In fact, these are a lot of these gentlemen have worked together before. Neil Morse has worked with Mike Portnoy on a number of occasions, so they already have a certain degree of musical chemistry going into this, so this project should come, and does come, very, very naturally to the two of them. However, whenever it comes to the medium and the epic ranged song lengths, these guys are very, very talented. And the reason why is because they are able to craft and sculpt out very interesting tracks. They're able to sculpt out tracks that not only go somewhere, but also kind of wow you a little bit with the journey. The journey that these songs take is half of the interest, the other half is the representation. The way in which they are very powerfully delivered by Casey's vocals, the way in which the music of Neil and Steve in the background is very well concocted and represented. Like I said, I wish I could recall the name of the bassist. I feel very, very bad. He was a member of the Dixie Dregs, I believe, but at any rate, and then Mike's drumming in the background is not lackadaisical. It's not like on Adrenaline Mob, where it just seemed like it existed, and every so often he tried to do something to say, hey, I'm Mike Portnoy. I'm a guy that can really wow people with drumming. Yeah. Basically, if you compared Adrenaline Mob to last year's Dream Theater record, Mike Mangini just destroyed him. Whenever it comes to Flying Colors, it's a little bit closer, but I think Mike Mangini still owns the edge on that one, but that's because it's a completely different breed of music. It's progressive metal. It's meant to be aggressive. With this progressive rock album by Flying Colors, it's not really meant to be as aggressive. In fact, it's supposed to be a little bit more about the atmosphere. It's about to be about the construction, about the body, about the journey that the song really takes you on. And these are tracks that definitely take you on a great journey, but the 12-minute epic finale is really where it's at. If they made a full album that was just based around maybe 4 or 5 songs of this length, I would absolutely, probably adore this record. It would be top-notch, fantastic. But this is where their strength really is. Their strength is conducting and constructing fantastic, epic, long tracks that keep your attention and also wow you along the way. So I have to give them a lot of credit on that one. That is the one that really sold me on this album, and really kind of a bottom of the ninth type thing. I enjoyed the rest of the stuff that I heard on this record, but that was the one that really made me a believer that out of the 2 projects that we saw from Mike Portnoy so far this year, Flying Colors and Adrenaline Mob, Flying Colors wins by a landslide. This is definitely a good record. This is a record that's worth picking up if you're a fan of progressive rock music, or really just a fan of any of these gentlemen in general, which typically would mean that you are a fan of progressive rock music, so I guess mentioning the second part was pretty null and void and useless. But yeah, I really like this record. I think I'm going to give it a solid 8, maybe a little bit closer to like an 8.1 or an 8.2, all depending on what score you want to use. I really may have to revitalize and reshape my scoring structure, considering people are noticing I give a lot of 8s. However, this is just something that I really liked. I really enjoyed it. I dug it, and I'm actually ashamed that I didn't review this back whenever it was first released, and instead opted to review Adrenaline Mob, which was just a bad review, mainly because it was a bad album. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I have now taken care of both Portnoy projects from 2012. He has another one. I'm sure I will tackle it in a much more timely fashion. However, until then, stay tuned for the next review.